All right. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's call for the Family Business Mastermind. I am joining y'all. I told some of you already from the Erie County Library, downtown Buffalo. Xandra had a speaking engagement. She kicked off a Black History Month Black Doll exhibit here at the library for the county. So, she did the keynote. So, I'm parent managing. So, if anybody understands, all of you understand. So I'm going to spotlight myself really quickly just so I can introduce our guests and we can get this party started. I will tell you while you all are talking and while our guest takes the floor, I'm going to jump in my car and I'll probably come back on camera where I'm actually stable at home. I'm only like 5 minutes from home. So just know that Shashan has agreed to be our co-host just in case. So just in case my internet gets unstable or anything gets weird, we do not lose the call. Okay. So again, welcome you all. I'm so excited for today. Our guest, this is our first monthly guest. I know y'all been like, Tamara, where's the good people? We tired of talking to you. Like, where's the people at? The smart people, the people that are going to help us get to our next level. So I'm super excited to introduce you to my friends, one of the geniuses in my circle. I call her Nicole. Her proper name is Mary Nicole, and she is a finance guru. Okay. So I posted her bio. Nicole, they all read your bio, so they can read all the stuff. But what I want you all to know is that when Jimmy and I were a hot mess trying to figure out what to do with all the kids and salaries and all the things, Nicole was the one that got us and our stuff, helped us get our stuff together, like monthly budget. How much money can we spend on food? What you mean I can't order out all the time? Like that kind of get your stuff together. So that's why I trust her. Not only is she a friend, but and also really talented and brilliant at what she does. She understands small business because she has one. She understands hiring, firing, all the things we're going through. She has children. She gets it all. So the whole family business experience that we are all like deep in, she totally understands. And in addition to that, I mean, Nicole was there when I was trying to figure out how to negotiate like a severance package when I wanted to do something really crazy, like retire from my corporate job and actually work for my 16-year-old daughter. Like she pulled me aside and was like, girl, this is what we need to do. And I was like, what do you think? And she's like, you could do it. So we have a personal connection. There's so much more I can say, but I just want you to trust her. And she's amazing. So whatever she says, you need to do it. So please have your questions ready. So without further ado, I want to bring to the virtual stage, Nicole.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
Thank
for
you so much for being here.
it's so funny because I do remember that whole thing. And sometimes when I'm walking down Delaware, I pass by, where you used to work and
Yeah.
I think about it. And it's just so crazy. But I love what you're doing. I can't think of a better person to do it because you walked in the shoes. And I think when you experience something yourself, it helps you communicate it to people better because you've lived it, and I sit in this seat and I think I do well at my job because everything that I suggest that people do, I've done it, So even, when I helped you leave corporate, it's because I helped myself leave corporate,
Right.
So I think, I talk to my friend all the time because I always tell them there's certain things like if somebody hasn't made $1 million, how are they going to tell me how to make $1 million? Right. So there's certain things I'm like, how can I trust a person if they haven't really experienced it? So are we going by book or are we going by actual physical? I did this before. I'm trying to tell you what's the best way to go because if you don't, it's another road that will make you not happy, right? So that's kind of where I come from, a place of just experience and experiencing it myself. And then the seat that I sit in, I also get to work with business owners from all over, and I'm in their business. So whenever I'm meeting with my clients, is always we. I'm always saying we because I feel like I am in it. This is our thing, And I just really, I just love what I get to do. I love who I get to do it with. I'm tough.
Yes,
And
she is.
I'm not a
Yes, you are.
convincer. I'm not a babysitter. I'm none of those things, but I am here to like help, teach, hold hands when needed. But again, I love what I do. So I've been an accountant for Y'all, I'm old. I'm almost 50 years old, okay? So I've been an accountant for a very long time. And in 2014, I left my corporate job at Bank of America. I had already had my business because I did not want to be a struggling entrepreneur. I've been poor, I grew up poor, and I just said, I cannot. So I worked a full-time job while I grew my business. And then in 2014, I walked away from corporate America and just did my business. And although I was willing to go back if I needed to, thank God I never needed to go back. And within like a few months, I was making more than I made in corporate America, and it wasn't even tax time. So I was just like blown away. So one thing I know is you can manifest anything, right? I had my son when I was 16 years old. So technically, statistically, I'm not even supposed to be where I am, right? He's not supposed to be where he is, but I believe in God, and I believe that he wants us really to have the desires of our heart. And I'm really wise in knowing what to ask for now because he'll give it to me. And so I have to make sure that what I'm asking for is what I really want. So I say all that, and I'm here. I don't have a PowerPoint. I don't go off a script. I just talk. And so as I'm talking, you can stop me. You can ask questions. This is your time. And like I told Tamara said, you can offer something that I have nothing to offer you. I have nothing to offer you today other than my time, my advice, my knowledge. Relationship is so important. So it's tax time. I'm busy as I don't know what. But when she said, can you? I automatically said yes. And I told her, I said, relationship is everything to me. So you're getting this, you're getting me because she asked, and we have a relationship. So, she said, I'm all the smart people. She's one of the smart people. There's no way her daughter could have the kind of business she has if she didn't have the momager that she has. So don't let her discredit all her smarts. So today we'll talk about a couple of different things. So one thing that I find is a lot of people start business and they think I can't afford to have an accountant. The reality is you can't afford not to have an accountant because there's so many things you don't know. And a lot of times when people come to me on the back end, years of being in business and they've made a complete mess, then it costs them more to clean it up instead of just having a consult from the very beginning. I said, do this, do this, do this. Don't do this. And if you can't afford bookkeeping, that's good. Do this on your own. And so that's key, knowing who you need on your team, knowing what you can do and what you can't do. I have some clients that can do their own bookkeeping, and I tell them, you can do that. You don't need me for that. Meet with me once a quarter, we'll go over it. And then I have others that say, I tell them, you cannot. And it doesn't have to be me, but you better get somebody. So knowing who to have on your team is kind of scary because social media has made it to where everybody is an expert. Everybody wants to tell you how to do your taxes, how to save money, go get a trust, like put your kids on payroll, which I'm not against that. My daughter is a senior at North Carolina A&T, and she has been on my payroll her entire time. And you have to know how to leverage it, right? But you have to have the money to be able to pay them. So if a person isn't even paying their self, and it comes in, I want to put my kid on payroll, but you're not on payroll. So we got to make all these things make sense. So when people give the advice, I'll say sometimes the stuff is 100% true. Sometimes pieces of it is true. Sometimes it's true, but it won't fit your situation. So you have to know, what is it going to do for me? I need to take this piece of advice. You wouldn't imagine how many times my clients, and I like it because I don't want them going and doing things that they hear online without having a conversation so I can apply it to them in their life, right? So the first thing we want is our LLC. We want to make sure that we have the LLC. Why? LLC is not a corporation, it is a company. But why we have that is for protection, right? I own stuff personally. I don't want somebody to sue me and come take my stuff that I own personally. So I get an LLC to stop that from happening. Now, there's something called piercing the corporate veil. So if you get this LLC and you're steady transferring money to and from your personal, paying for all your personal stuff in the LLC, they're going to say, nope, you treated this like your personal account. So we're going to say it is your personal. And then it was pointless to have that LLC, right? So you want to get the LLC as just the foundation of protection. Nothing to do with taxes because whether whether you're a single member LLC or just a sole proprietor or DBA, it's going on the same tax return. So the LLC is not for any tax purpose. It really is just for protection, right? So that's the first thing, getting that LLC, making sure you have a business bank account. You're really using it for business. Now, I'm not saying that my business does not pay for things for me. That is far from the truth. It pays for things for me. I travel a lot. My business pays for that travel. I do business on the travel, right? But there's things that my business does for me, but my business can also afford to do it. And I think that's where people get confused because everybody says, deduct this and do this and do that. But if you're not making any money, how are you going to pay for it? So you got to know at what level you need to be taking what advice, right? So a lot of times people don't know how to pay themselves. So if you're a single member LLC, the only way you can pay yourself, if you don't do this other thing I'm going to tell you about, is by just taking your profit early. Instead of taking all my profit at the end of the year, I'm going to take it throughout the year. That's just a transfer to your personal bank account, right? If you want to put yourself on payroll, you have to do what's called an S Corp election. It is where you're asking the IRS, please look at me like a corporation, right? You then get to put yourself on payroll, real payroll, right? And now my business is a separate entity. I have a separate tax return. It's not going on Schedule C. It's actually going on an 1120S. So I have this separate tax return. And with this S Corp, my business gets to deduct what they pay me 100%. So over here in single member, I didn't want to raise my hand because I actually had to go get an iron infusion today. So I got all this crap on, and I hate when people walk around with hospital bands, but I was so busy, I forgot to cut it off. Anyway, so let's talk about single member LLC. We're used on a Schedule C. We have income, we have expenses, we have net profit, right? That net profit is getting taxed at your ordinary tax rate. So wherever you fall based on what your whole total taxable income is, and self-employment rate, right? Then over here in S Corp world, we have income, we have expenses, which includes what you pay yourself. And then we have net income, right? So over here, let's just say we have $100,000. I like to use easy numbers because although I'm an accountant, I use a calculator for everything. So $100,000, and let's say your net profit is 50. So you really paid yourself $50,000 as a single member LLC. So on the bottom of your Schedule C is $50,000. That $50,000 is not deductible at all. $0 of it is deductible. It's getting hit at the ordinary tax. It's getting hit at the self-employment tax. Over here in S Corp world, there's a line item for officer salary, right? It's deducted 100%. So let's take that 50% profit and say, we put that on a W-2. Now that 50,000 is deductible to my company. And I'm getting a full deduction. I'm getting a payroll check where withholding is coming out every pay. So now I've structured it. You have to think about it just like when you work or if you work W-2 job. It's the same thing. But your company's doing it for you and your company's able to deduct it. Then there's also retirement plans where, because a lot of times they think entrepreneurs can't have health insurance. I have great health insurance. They think you can't have retirement. I have great retirement. You know, they think life insurance, I have great life insurance, disability insurance, all this stuff that they say we can't have. Yes, we can. We can have all those things. And guess what? Deductible, right? So we want to position ourselves to where we really understand what we're doing and how to make it work for us. And one of those things, the S Corp election, is something that we really need to leverage. Now, you have to be at a certain level to do it. I really don't like throwing out a number because people think that's the magic number. But I will say, let's say you're making $20,000, $30,000. It's going to cost a lot of money on the administrative side of this S Corp to do that. So it wouldn't make sense to do it at the $20,000, $30,000, right? What we would do is estimated tax payments during the year so that if you're making that 50, you're paying some money in during the year and you don't owe a whole bunch of money at the end of the year, and then work to make more money. I am not one of those accountants. People can't come to me and say, oh, I want to have a loss this year. I tell them, you have the wrong accountant. I don't operate in loss. I operate in making money. I'm just going to show you how to lower the tax liability on the money. But I'm never going to say make less money. You're going to make more money. I don't know if you guys are readers, but a book I always have people read is Get Rich Lucky Bitch. It was so crazy. The book came to me and I was being all judgmental. Like, I don't want to read that book. What kind of book is that? My name is crazy. It came to me again. I was like, I'm not reading that book. The third time, it came to me free in a link in my email. And I said, you know what? Clearly, I'm supposed to read this book. So I read the book, and it is one of my favorite books. And the book actually changed my life. So I used to I was obsessed with expenses. Like, I don't even like, I would check my bank account all the time. My ex-husband, he would go to the gas station and spend $1. I'd be like, what did you spend that dollar on? Like, water. We have water at home. What are you doing? I was engrossed in expenses, right? I read the book, and the book talks about, well, whatever are absorbing your time with, that's what's going to grow. So you really need to be focused on the income, because if you have the income, you can pay the expenses. That, although it seems so minute, it changed my life, because then I shifted my focus. I'm no longer concerned about those expenses. Now I only go look at my bank accounts to make sure like there's no fraud going on. That's why I go look at them. It's not to see if I have money, because I know I have money, because I know I'm making the money. So of course I have it to pay my bills, because I'm making the money. So get that book. It's a really, really good book, and it has exercises in it too. I believe in planning the work and working the plan. So when I left corporate America, well, when I went back, I only went back because my son wanted to go to Howard, and I felt like I needed some stability to pay for this very expensive school. So I had to create a plan, and I only planned on staying for 4 years. Well, year 3, God said leave. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is working well. Like, I'm making this work. But you have to have a plan. I knew, because I didn't want to be a struggling entrepreneur, this business has to be able to pay me. And even when I picked the number, it was less than what I was making. But I said, I have to be making X in order to leave this job. HU, that's right. So I'm really an Aggie. My degree is from A&T, but my money also went to Howard. So I'm a Bison too. I'm an Aggie Bison, period. so, um, but yeah, so in my mind, I picked a number. I'm like, I can live off of this number. And until I was making that in my business while I was working, I didn't touch that business money. I made it. I didn't need it, right? Because I'm working. When I got to the point, and I'm like, God, I wasn't ready. I had 4 years, and it was 3 years. And I walked away. I was making more money than I was at my job. But I had that plan in place. And you have to look at your life and say, what is my real number? What is it that I can do? Because I don't know if any of you have ever been poor, but I've been poor, like walking to the grocery store with actual food stamps back when it was in a little coupon booklet, like poor, right? And I never wanted that again. And so it meant taking the steps so that I never had to be in that position again, right? I take calculated risks. I'm not just like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job. No, no, no. I never quit a job without having another job or having a way to pay myself. I got laid off, I think it was 2011 from Bank of America. And at that time, I felt like I don't want somebody else in control of my financial future. That's when I got serious about, because I used to do taxes for like friends and family, and it wasn't serious. But it got serious after that, because I said, I don't want somebody else controlling how much money I make. And I want you to know it really is unlimited income. I remember when I first left the bank, my sister wanted to go to Africa. It was her 40th birthday, and the trip was like $8,000. And at that time, the only thing more expensive that I had paid for was my house, my car, and my education. $8,000 to me back then was a lot of money. And I said, okay, well, I can't let you go to Africa by yourself, so I got to figure this out. And now I go to Africa by myself, but back then I didn't know, right? So all I did was think it in terms of tax returns, because at that time, that was the only service I provided, tax returns. How many tax returns do I need to do to get this $8,000? And then that became my focus, right? You have to focus on what it is you need. You know how many people do taxes? But I'm not worried about them. I'm just worried about what I need. I used to also say, anybody can be my client. Everybody needs taxes done. No, everybody cannot be my client. No, I'm specific. And see, that was the other great thing about having a job while I was growing my business, because I got to be picky on who I wanted my clientele to be. Instead of being so hungry for money that I had to take anybody, I got to choose, and you want to still have control over your life. You do not want this to take over your life because it can. But I'm here to say that I manifested this life and I have an amazing life. And it didn't start out that way. It was hard. Having a kid at 16, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Right. But you got to put things in place to say, what kind of life do I want? And create that life for yourself, because you really can do it. But I'm here to talk about taxes. But so we talked about the S Corp bookkeeping, right? So somebody needs to do it. If you know what you're doing, do it, and do it regularly. So the way we do it at my firm is we reconcile transactions every single week. For every single client, we reconcile every single week. Why? I don't want to wait till the end of the year and try a month and try to figure stuff out. If I go to a client after 30 days of them withdrawing some money, they're going to say, I don't know what that was for. But if I go within a 7-day time frame, they're like, oh, that was for XYZ. So every week we're sending out reports like, what was this? What was this? While it's on their mind, right? And then every month we have a meeting to go over the numbers. You need to know what's going on real time. So if a client comes to me and says, well, I was thinking about getting another employee, I just pull out the financials. What do the financials say? It's not me saying yes or no. I just go to the financials. If you don't have any financials, how can you make any decisions? How do you know what the heck is going on in your company if you don't have the numbers that show you, right? If you have a business, you can't go to your accountant once a year tax time. So if somebody comes to me in January, it's nothing I can do to help you for the prior year. It's over. I can help you for the year that's coming up, but it's nothing I can do for that year. You need the advice during the year, not when it's over. You need it during the year to make sure you're making the decisions. November, December is a very busy time for my company. Why? We're working with each client to say, okay, what do we need to do? Do you need to put some money in retirement? Do you need to spend some money? What do you need to do? Because we have to make sure that we're in the best position possible for tax time. But you can't have that conversation if even when it was the PPP uproar, right? I didn't service anybody with PPP that wasn't my client for a couple of reasons. One, I had to, the people that already had a relationship with me, they got the preference, right? She picked up the phone and said, Nicole, I need you. She got the preference because there is a relationship. So my clients, I serviced them. The second thing was you had to have financials. So it was a lot of people coming trying to find accountants because they had no financials. So now I have to put this together for the whole year or 2 years. That takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of money. So then you're not ready. You're not in position. When these grants come up, you're not in position. You could get the money, but you can't get the money because you're not in position. Why are you afraid of your numbers? They're your numbers, good or bad. They're yours. So you have to know what's going on in your business. You have to. I make decisions based off of my numbers, what I know to be true. Can I hire somebody? I know because I know my numbers, right? You have to know. If you have a product, you have to know how much is this product costing me? How much is my profit on this product? If you don't know these things, how do you know if you're even making money? You don't know. You have to be in position. And it's knowing the numbers and not being afraid. People they're so worried about owing taxes. I care about owing taxes, but the other thing is, if I owe, it means I've made money. I'm always going to make money, and I had to tell one client today, so she owed like $2,500 and she was just in an uproar. And then I had to really break it down to her. I was like, you make about $80,000. I have clients who pay $80,000 in taxes. So is your problem of 2,500 really a problem? And I know you have this money in the bank. So that's when you have to start thinking. So numbers for me, and I hope it becomes that way for you too. Money is a tool, right? And I give the analogy of you go outside and cut your grass, you use a lawnmower, you use a rake. Do you have any emotional tie to that lawnmower rate? No, there's no emotional tie. Why do we have emotional tie to money? When it is a thing, it's a tool, it's currency. And really, for me now, it's really currency because I usually never have cash. So it really doesn't exist, but it's just currency. And you can get more of it freely. Freely. You got to stop any blocks you have about it. One of my blocks used to be, and this is not even that far a long time ago, I never want to be poor again. One time my friend had to say to me, okay, let me break this down to you. There's no way you can be poor again. I said, what do you mean? Yes, I can. He said, there is no way you can be poor again. You have an accounting degree. Can you not go get a job? How can you really be poor again? So you can have less money, but you can't be poor. So that was something I had to break through in my mind. Like, wait a minute. Okay, he's right. We put these blocks on ourselves and we can't be scared of it, but you got to view money as currency. I'm not afraid to give because I know I'm getting, and I'm not wasteful. And so it's all these things that have to come together. You have to have this relationship with money and not be afraid and not say, oh, I'll just get to it, or, oh, it'll work out. No, you need to know your numbers because you can't run your business without knowing the numbers. And if you really want to get to the point where you're doing this, so when you leave corporate, if you have a corporate job, you have to say, okay, I have to live off of this. So I have to really take time to say, what's going on? Can I afford to do this? What are the things that I need to do to make this work? Because I'm not willing to give up anything. I'm not willing to not pay life insurance, right? I'm not willing to not have health insurance. Like, it's all these things I wasn't willing to do. And it's the S word, sacrifice. So now what I do now is nothing like what I used to do. My kids were starting to think something was wrong with me because I was spending money, but I'm like, I'm at a different stage in life. But back then, they only know me to be like, no, no, no. That was it, right? So you have to figure out what it is for you. Have a budget, stick to your budget, and you need a budget for the personal side and the business side. And if you're a mess on the personal side, please don't think you can come to the business side and all of a sudden be this financial guru. No, it's going to be just as messed up as it is over there. You have to have control of both sides. One flows into the other. You're not this different person over here and this different person. You are the same person. You have the same habits financially. People start doing things. Amex, Lord, I don't know why Amex stopped being just a charge card. I don't know why. Because people will go get it and it's unlimited, but it's not. But you can literally go buy a car on the Amex, but then you got to pay it back. And they let there be this piece that's pay over time, but it's like 29%. So it's like people aren't thinking like during COVID, and that's why they done messed up all our benefits in the doggone lounges because now everybody has Amex. And they mad because they also have this huge cancellation of debt because all these people got these cards and can't pay. You got to know what you're doing. And it's fine to have business credit. I have more than I need. And during COVID, I just started building it just to see if I could do it. Because I'm like, these people are charging this money. I'm sure I could just figure this out. But you got to know what you're doing and you have to know how to leverage it. So what questions do you have right now? Let me see what's in the chat. I think it was just the HU and it was a LOL. I don't know what that one was about. But what questions do you all have right now? We'll take a little break for questions. None? I
So
mean,
I know you mentioned like the bookkeeping part, right? When we're not making like tons of money just yet, like start training ourselves to get in the habit of, knowing our money. Is there a certain dollar amount? Because like when you talk just starting off, one thing I did hear you say, like when we're applying for these grants and they want to see maybe what you've been spending your money on. And it's kind of hard to go back because if I'm using my bank account or my daughter's bank account, and everything is not in one place. Just trying to figure out like how to start or how to clean it up to be on the right track, even though you're not making tons of money just yet.
Great question. Great question. So what you can do is pull everything into some bookkeeping software, right? So the one thing we want to do is not do all this commingling because that makes it so much harder. Like you're over this account, using this card, this card. If you have to use a personal card, use one card that's just for business, even though it's your personal. So that way, you know, everything there is related to business. But what you can do is software. So QuickBooks is a name. QuickBooks has a name kind of like Pepsi and Coke, like Pepsi or McDonald's, you know, or things like that. So QuickBooks has that name. Honestly, for people that are not accountants, I like Xero better. Xero. They have a free like 30-day trial, and it's like $30 a month. It's a lot simpler for people that are not. But what would happen is you would take those transactions, put them into the software, and create those financials that we're talking about. So you can go back and recreate it by going and getting the transactions that you've done, let's say over 2023. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. The Xero,
then,
is that web-based or an
yes.
app too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank
And then
you.
you're welcome. And then you can just start doing it real time for 2024. We're at the beginning of 2024. So this is the perfect time to get that software and start, you know, what you do is connect all your business accounts to it and then reconcile those transactions. And you can do something like Nicole. So we offer a service where we'll help you get set up. We'll get you set up, all of that, and then you're off on your own. And then you can do quarterly, like, well, let me go talk to her once a quarter and have her look at my stuff to see if I'm doing this the right way. So it doesn't have to be a full-blown, I have full bookkeeping with you and I come every month and all that. You can kind of cater it to what it is you need for you. And it could be like, you know, just set up, like, these are the transactions that I'm going to have. Get your chart of account set up how you need it set up. Keisha's asking about suggestions for the software. So that was it, the Xero. And then, hold on now. How to file taxes on managing LLC that's physically sponsored when a website is shared. You got to help me with that one. Do you mean, because one person will own the merchant. So explain to me, I don't know who wrote that one. Samara, was that you? About LLC when a website is shared. I don't know what that means. Common deductible items that are missing when filing. I'll say more of the things that people just feel like, and it also depends on, am I that single member LLC versus am I that S corporation? Because things get counted differently. Like for instance, when you're a single member LLC, you can use business use of your home, right? As an S corp, I can't use that because it's kind of like I work for Bank of America. So Bank of America isn't giving me that deduction. However, there's other things like my company pays me $270 a month as a car allowance. And I chose 270 because that's the highest number that you can get without it being taxable. So 270 a month I get for my car allowance, right? So there's all different kinds of things that you can do based on how you're structured. What stage in business should business credit be considered? So here's the thing. Are you making money to be able to pay it back? Because a lot of people want to build the credit, get the credit, but then you have to be able to pay it back. So you have to be at a stage where you're making regular income to be able to pay it back. Yeah, so she says some advise getting established as soon as possible, while others suggest waiting until revenue is consistent. And I actually agree with both of those, right? One, getting established, meaning doing all the things you have to do, having your Dun and Brad number, like getting in position, right? And maybe getting one card. And then when the revenue is consistent, then you can, now I have employee cards, but I don't have to sit there and be like, oh, if they're spending on that card, am I going to be able to afford it? You have to be in position for that. I mentioned LLC and DBA. I have 2 DBAs. So do I need to have 2 bank accounts and 2 Xero accounts? So yeah, so the way you have to think about it is, well, do you have an LLC with two big DBAs under it that roll up to that one EIN? Because every EIN needs its own bank account.
Okay, so I have one EIN, and then the DBAs are pointing to the LLC, excuse me. I have one LLC, and then
Mhm.
my DBAs are pointing towards it, but each DBA has their own EIN. So I should
Yeah,
have different.
so a EIN, so a LLC is an entity that has its own EIN.
Yep, it has an EIN.
So if you have two EINs over here, I don't know how you're doing the reporting for this.
No, so I haven't gotten the EIN. So I stopped one company that's gone away. I've
Okay.
already dissolved it.
Okay.
And so I started a new one, and I
Uh-huh.
want to do everything right as far as
Uh-huh.
creating it. So I did the DBA, but that one, my new company does not have an EIN yet. I just did the DBA so I could have doing
Because
business as.
DBA doesn't get the EIN, it's just for name purposes.
Yeah, in Florida, they kept asking me for one when I was signing
Well,
up
the
for it. So
EIN is your LLC EIN.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
So
And
just so
and
for
is
my
the
new company.
LLC and this DBA, why do you have it like this?
So the LLC is called 4 Feet. It has my company and it has my children's company underneath of it to keep them
Mhm.
separate. They both have separate bank accounts, but I was like, do I really need two
Mhm.
separate bank accounts for each
Yes.
one?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay,
for tracking purposes, because if you don't, then how do you know what each one
right.
did? Right.
Now they have two separate Stripe accounts for any money
Mhm.
coming in, but I
Mhm.
was just,
Yeah, I
I
would
was
have
just wondering,
separate
just keep
accounts.
everything separate.
So income and expenses. Now
Okay.
you have to be careful when you start doing LLC with things under it, right?
Okay.
If somebody sues this at the top, they can
Mhm.
get anything that's under it.
That's what I was wondering as well.
So you have to
Okay.
be careful when you start doing that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm sorry, he has to go.
Oh, that's okay. That is okay. Yeah, so you have to think about the way you're structuring things so that you're protecting everything that's in it. These are good questions.
My other question for you,
Oh, what
I'm
are the
sorry.
benefits? Okay, go ahead.
For us parents that are doing vending events with our kids,
Mhm.
do we track the mileage for that? Because I have not been.
Yeah, you should. And there's apps like Mile IQ that you can
Okay.
use. Yep.
Okay,
So you're in the S corp world, you're not really tracking mileage. You're really like writing off your gas and things like that. But if you're in that single member LLC, you want to
Mhm.
track the mileage. So something, and also people have to understand it's mileage or actual expenses. So it's mileage or gas and insurance and da 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 da.
Oh, okay,
And whatever you start with that car follows it through the life of that car. You can't switch, right? The other point is if you're using your car for personal and business, you have to take that ratio. So it isn't
okay,
like I can deduct all of my insurance or all of my gas or all of my mileage. It's a percentage, unless you have a car that's or automobile that's specifically for the business.
okay. Thank you.
Somebody said, you're welcome. What are the benefits of employing your children? Okay, I'm going to tell you. There's a couple, right? And it has to make sense. So you can't have this 1-month-old on payroll, right? It has to make sense. Can this child really do something? One of the things is, so to contribute to a Roth, you have to have earned income, right? So if my child is earning income, I can sock that $7,000 away in that Roth because they're making money, but they have to be able to earn income, right? That's one thing. Two, you can pay your child up to the standard deduction amount and they don't have to pay taxes. Now, if it's an S corp, they have to pay the payroll taxes, which is the FICA, but they don't have to pay federal or state because they're not going to have to file a tax return, and you get to deduct what you paid them. So if they're 5, you're putting in an account or you're doing it whatever you want to do with it once they get paid, you know. But again, you have to have the money to be able to do it. Another benefit. So my daughter's in college. She works for me. Okay. I gonna have to pay her rent and her utilities and all this stuff anyway. So what do? I employ her and I pay her. What does she do? She pays her rent. She pays her electricity. She buys her food. All things I was gonna have to do anyway. But now my business does it. And I get the deduction. But you have to have the money to do it, right? And that's money I was gonna spend anyway.
So can I ask for clarity?
Mhm.
So my daughter is also in college. Thank you for saying what you just said, because I've been paying her rent this year as a senior. She didn't have housing since August. And I wasn't for sure. She has worked for me previously. She's done like my social media marketing and things like that. And I've paid her for it. But I wasn't really, I've never actually deducted it from my taxes. It's just what I was giving her based on what she was doing. But now hearing you say that, do you have to document like a specific work that your daughter is doing for your business in order to
So
give her that for tax purposes?
no, but when I say pay, it is real pay. Like I'm running it through payroll. I'm not just giving money. I'm not just selling.
Gotcha.
I am paying through payroll. She's going to get a W-2.
Okay. Okay,
And
gotcha.
and you don't have to document it, but it's very easy to say, oh, my daughter does. And my daughter really has worked for me before and knows how to do bookkeeping, all that kind of stuff. So they have to be able to, you know what I mean? So it can't, like I said, can't be a baby where you're saying, oh, this baby does X, Y, Z, but you could
Right.
say your daughter does your, you know, whatever it is. But yeah, but pay, when I say pay, that is really through payroll.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Let's see what else we have. These are good questions. So yeah, so those are some of the main benefits of employing your children, is that one, we can put money in a Roth. Another situation for me is, so my daughter also gets the affordable health. So the affordable healthcare is not affordable for people who actually make money, but it's affordable for people who don't make as much money, like lower income. So since my daughter is 22 and it would cost me more to have her own insurance with me, because she works, she can get the affordable health care. So she pays $50 a month for her premium every month and has real insurance. And it's because she gets the affordable health care because she works and it's low income. So it's just making these things work for you.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Now you said really for us, like I'm just starting out, my daughter's just starting out. Like
Mhm.
for her to actually get money from her business. So I will have to like run a real paycheck and give her, she's 10.
Mhm. So no,
No.
that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because let's say, are you a LLC
I'm actually gonna be making an LLC
in your
in the
name? It's
next
going
2
to be in
weeks.
your name because of her age.
Yes.
Right. So you can take profit from your business and give it to her, because really it's your business. She's 10. So if there's profit, you're gonna pay the taxes on the profit. So you have to just think about, if I'm giving her money, you know, so you might have to figure out what it is you really want to, and she's 10, so it's not like she needs a lot of money, but you might want her to feel like she's actually making money. So maybe you set up a
Mhm.
savings account and just say, okay, well, you're getting paid, we're going to put some money in your savings account. That's just the profit money that you're going to pay taxes on.
Okay.
So there's no real way to deduct it unless it's run through payroll. And at this stage of the game, it would not make sense for you to do that.
Okay.
I want somebody to talk about.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I just want to make sure I understand what was said here. So because us as parents, even though our kids are the entrepreneur and it's the LLC and we're over it, we can still, since it's our business, write money off that we give them, because no.
So remember I talked about her putting that money in that savings account for the child? That's your profit, and you're still going to pay taxes on it. There's no kind of deduction you can do, whether it be the child or you. in a single member LLC and a sole proprietor and a DBA.
So even if she's doing work in the business, you can't pay her?
You won't want to give her a 1099 because you don't want her to pay taxes.
Okay.
So you can give her money, but that
And
you're just
savings.
giving her profit from the business and you're going to pay taxes on
So you give profit.
it. So remember, we have our income, expenses, net profit, and net profit is what we're getting taxed on. The IRS doesn't care what you do with your profit, but you're going to pay taxes on it. So if you want to give it to your child, that's fine. But you're going to pay taxes on it. There's no way for you to give money to your child and not pay taxes on it without running it through payroll. So there's no way to deduct the profit.
And you said we don't want to run it through payroll because we don't want to do the.
But the reason why I told her that is because she said she's just starting out. So I know she's not making enough to where it's going to make sense.
Got you. Okay.
So if, let's say, you're a single member LLC making $100,000, then I'm gonna tell you, okay, well, yeah, you can run payroll.
Okay, got it.
I wanted to, Tamara, what was this you're talking about with how to file taxes when managing LLC that is fiscally sponsored when a website is shared? Can you explain that? Are you able to talk?
That was a question that came from the group.
Okay. But
That's somebody who had left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I needed them to explain that one more. Because let's say it's a website, there's only one merchant. From what I'm thinking, there will only be one merchant, and then that merchant has to give the money to the other person, right? And then they will have to get that person a 1099 saying, I gave you X amount of dollars. Because they have to pick up the income, but then that's their expense, paying it out to the other person. I was just trying to see if there's anything else. What other questions do you all have?
I have one. When you're saying we're talking about single member LLCs, is it possible to add your kids as a member of your LLC?
You can add anyone that you want as a member. You have to be careful when they're minors. You have to be careful when they're minors. You can add them as a member, but as a minor, they're limited to certain things that they can do. You know, so you just have to be careful with that. Also, when it comes to when they start getting around the college age, you don't want too much to be in their name. Like, so let's say you put them on the LLC, right? Let's say you're making a net profit of $100,000. If they are on that, they are, because if you have more than one person on the LLC, that makes it a partnership. Partnership has a separate tax return. Each partner gets what's called a K1 with their part of the income. So let's say you're making $100,000 and you and your child are 50 for 50 partners. They're going to get a K1 that has $50,000 on it. Is that what you really want? And so let's just say they're around the age, they're going to college. Do you make money? No, I don't make money. Yes, you do, because you have a K1 with $50,000 on it. So you have to be careful with that. And that's what people also don't understand. More than one person on an LLC automatically makes it a partnership. Partnerships have to file a partnership tax return. It's not a you take your part and put it on your Schedule C, I take my part, put it on my Schedule C. It doesn't work like that. It is combined.
So when we creating our kids' businesses and we go to fill out the LLC, would you advise not to put them on as members?
I would advise, because if they are on there as a member, they are a partner.
Okay.
Partners get K1s and you have to file a separate partner tax return. And really, they don't, I'm not going to say don't contribute anything, but they're not contributing any money. Do you know what I mean? All the financial stuff is really yours. So you can't have a partnership with you and your daughter and then put it on a Schedule C. You got to do what's called a Form 1065, which is a partnership tax return. And there's different things you can do for your children because yes, this is their business, but they're still minors. So they really can't do anything, right? Legally. You can set up trust, you can set up all kinds of stuff so that they're taken care of and money is in there for them. But at this stage, you have to be very careful when they're under 18.
So just only list ourselves on there. Their names don't have to be anywhere on there for any purpose or just not as a member. For clarification.
If you put your child on the LLC, then they are a member.
Okay,
And then you go into partnership status.
okay. This was very helpful. I'm
Now,
gonna
when they
take
turn
this back.
18, you're welcome. When they turn 18, you can add them on there. And you have to think about it. I know, and you're like, but this is their business and I'm doing this for them. All that's great, but it's all your money, it's all your finances. And when it comes to taxes, it's all you. So it's not that and when they turn 18, gift them the whole freaking business. Here you go. It's yours. But until they turn 18, you have to be really responsible for they can't even before 18 get a bank account without you signing with them. What other questions you all have?
I do have another question. Is there any wiggle room around, and there probably is not. I think I remember from that my accountant told me last year. Is there any wiggle room around not having to pay taxes on our kids' income?
So are they getting, what are they getting? Are they getting a 1099? Are they getting a W-2? Are they getting, because
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
when it comes to like say interest and dividend income, like you can, once it comes a certain amount, you add it onto your income. So it depends on what are we saying, because some kids will model and get a W-2.
Right.
So what kind of income are we talking about? And it depends on how much it is. So if they get a W-2 and let's say they had 10,000 on it, well, that's still under the amount that it is where they have to file a tax return. But if they're making real money, then it might be that your child is going to have to pay taxes.
Right.
So
Okay.
managing them as like having, their real life, they're going to have that business bank or personal account, or whatever account, to where you're saving money because they're going to have to pay taxes. Because there are children like child stars, they have to pay taxes.
Right. Okay. Okay. So in essence, there is no way around it. You just have to basically set aside money like each month to cover like an estimated amount of taxes for them.
But if it's W-2, so is it 1099 income? Is it W-2 income? Because
It's
W-2
1099 and it came from, so it's like she has a PayPal account and it came from PayPal.
Why does she have a PayPal account? Because she's not even 18. So PayPal, did you have to sign on with that?
Right. And that's why I was saying, is there any way for us to not pay our kids taxes? So it's under my name, but it's her business.
Who's social?
It's mine.
Then that's your money. That's not her money. That's your money. From a tax perspective, you're going to get a 1099-K from PayPal with your name and your social on it. So what you really want to do is have the business have the PayPal and the business name and the business EIN is on it, not you personally.
Okay.
But you guys are thinking about this like these children are really able to do any of this, and they're not, unless they're over 18 or over. So when you're like, it's her money and it's her PayPal, and it's like, no, it's not, it's your PayPal. So I know you're being parents like, no, this is their money, I don't want their, no, it is, but it isn't. It's your money, it's your social, it's going on your taxes. So you have to kind of think about it like, I'm owning this until they turn 18. Even if I give them money or whatever, I got to own this until they turn 18.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for the clarity.
No problem. But anything that your name and social is on, or business name and EIN, and you own the LLC, it's you. Because you got to kind of think about them as like, they're just my helper right now. Even though it's their business, they really can't handle any of this. But the goal is when they turn 18, they can have this. And I'm teaching them now how to handle it.
So the only way around it is to have her business, which her business name is on her PayPal account because her LLC is under me, of course, because she's not 18. But instead of I need to stop using my social and start using the EIN. I mean, either way, I know I have to still pay the taxes on it. Because like you said, it's considered legally, it's my money, even though I don't look at it that way, but I know from a legal perspective what you're saying. So I just need to switch up my social to her EIN.
And you keep saying
Or
her
to the
EIN,
business,
but
to the
okay.
business EIN.
Right. Right. Because as you're doing so all the money is going in the business account, right?
Right.
Right. And are you the only one on the LLC?
Yes.
Right. So on that Schedule C, in that income is that PayPal money. Then you have your expenses, and then you have your net profit. So I just want, if the biggest takeaway from these questions you've been asking is that you all view this as your business. Yes, the stuff with your kids, I get it, but this is your business. It's not your kids' business. It might be their idea, their concept, and they're helping you, but you're owning this whole process. They're kids. So you got to look at all this financial stuff from this is me. What other questions? This is good. Welcome back.
Kind of going in a different
Thank
direction.
you.
Nicole, you were saying something?
Yes, kind of going in a different direction. So like, let's say we're trying to build like our kids' credit and, putting them as authorized users at a young age on our accounts that we're doing well with and we're paying off and things of that nature. What are your thoughts on that or the recommendations on that, just so they're prepared like at 18?
I'm gonna give you now this is my personal thoughts
Yes.
on and what I did. So not right, not wrong, but what I did for my two children. I have a 31-year-old and I have a 22-year-old. So I don't believe in building it for them. And it scares me when people try to do it because what if they have a rough patch? And what if they mess up their credit? Then they're also messing up the kids' credit before they could even really have a chance, right? And honestly, if they're under 18, it's not going to hurt them, but it could take a while to just get it sorted out. Say, I wasn't even 18, that's not really mine. The way I did it was when my children turned 18, they got a credit card. And the only thing they can put on the credit card was gas. That was it for the car. That's it. And you put the gas on there, and when the bill comes, then you pay it. Both of my kids have great credit. They didn't need me to do that. They did it on their own. And I think you have to show them. So when they turn 18, they don't need credit. So when people are saying, I'm doing it while they're young, so when they turn 18, they can have credit. But at 18, what do they need credit for? What do they need credit for at 18? They probably are going to school, so they still don't need it, right? So at 18, that's when we start, like we could teach them before then, but 18 is when we activate because at that point they can have it in their name, right? 18, you get your card, you only pay your gas on it or whatever you decide for them, and you monitor it. And let them grow it and let them understand how to really leverage it. I think it is risky when you do it for your children. Plus, it's kind of pointless because at 18, I don't feel like they need. So what? They might have a credit score of 800 at 18, but what do they need it for? The risk is if something happens and you mess up the credit, theirs is messed up. Can it get washed away because they're not even 18 yet? Yes, but usually that takes some time, effort, and money. So I don't believe in that. I hear it and people do it, and I've known people I know do it, but I just don't see the point in it. Let them learn how to do it when they turn 18. and teach them how to be responsible then. That's my thoughts. Other people don't agree, but it's worked for me and my children. What else, guys? These are good questions.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Would you I'm guessing you would recommend an LLC over an S corp.
When you're starting out, yes, because there's a lot of administration and cost to S corp that isn't with LLC. LLC, you already have to do your own tax return. So most tax returns for S corp are starting out at least $1,000, and that's even if it has all zeros.
Okay.
Right. So there's way more administration around the S corp. So I always say graduate to that. There's really no point in having it if you're not going to if you're not trying to put yourself on payroll. Because then it just functions just like the LLC. You're on mute.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
How y'all feeling?
They probably feeling stressed out.
I know I'm looking at the faces and I'm like, uh-oh, Nicole done got it.
I feel bad.
She got you. So listen, I am in a noisy place, so please accept my apologies, but I couldn't leave the call because it was just that good. I hope you all feel the same way. Nicole, I want to thank you for your time and your attention. I know it is tax season and you are hella busy. So thank you for saying yes to me.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
staying on this call
Anytime.
for over an hour and
Anytime.
answering every single question that we could squeak out, even the ones I put in the chat for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really
Anytime.
appreciate that. I'm going to share your information with everyone in the group, even though you were like, no, I'm gonna do it anyways, because there might be, that maybe y'all need to book a consult. I don't know. I just know it costs less for a consult than it does to get in trouble and be doing things wrong. Okay.
I call it proactive versus reactive.
Exactly. So I'll make sure they get the information. Oops. And the other thing I'm going to ask everyone, and I have to ask you now, I could ask you in the group or on Voxer, but I want to ask you and hold you accountable right now. If you feel like anything on this call, there was a light bulb moment, if you just know that Nicole is amazing because I said so, or you experienced something awesome, like because you're like, I needed to ask that question and now I get it. I need you to go into the Facebook group, please, and write Nicole a testimonial.
Oh, nice.
What was your aha moment? You met her. What do you feel? What did you learn? Whatever. Say something that she will. We're all business owners. We know how this works, right? So it could be free 99, but that one penny, I need your thoughts. Penny for your thoughts, okay? So please, I want it to be something that you feel authentic. I would never ask you to do anything that's inauthentic, but I want it to be something that she can put on her website, that she can put on her social media, so she can get more clients. Okay. Some other people probably wouldn't have said that, but you already know me and you know I'm gonna do what I need to do. So she is my friend and I want to support her the same way she is supporting us. And that's it. Like she said, period. One other thing, I don't know if you all know, you read her bio, but Nicole has an office here in Buffalo, New York, and she also has an office in North Carolina.
Charlotte. Mm-hmm.
Like what? So that's a whole other conversation. But I always ask all over two different cities. I just want to make sure I highlight that. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was nice to meet you all. And I'm here as a resource if you need help.
Tell us the name of that book again, please.
Get Rich, Lucky Bitch.
Okay, thank you.
Get Rich, Lucky Bitch. You're welcome. Bye, guys. I'm out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Are we
Good night,
staying on?
everyone.
I think we're done.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Good night,
I
everyone.
think we done too. Good
All
night.
right, good night,
Bye.
everyone.
See you guys later.